From the very beginning of Dexter's story, the Dark Passenger has symbolized Dexter's internal demon, the voice that drives his homicidal tendencies while giving shape and structure to his code. It is deeply personal, a construct through which Dexter rationalizes his actions and maintains a fragile sense of moral purpose. To Dexter, the Dark Passenger is not merely a title. It is the intimate language of his psyche, a term that defines who he is beneath the mask of normalcy. So what happens when this name is used for someone that is not Dexter? How will Dexter react, and what does he do? Very early on in Dexter Resurrection, we get that answer. Within the first 3 episodes, we find out that there is a serial killer operating with a name that the media has given him, the Dark Passenger. This serial killer, whose real name is Ronald Schmidt, managed to cause deep psychological unease within Dexter without ever having to meet him.
May know we have a serial killer.
Oh, you're not Jack.
They call him the Dark Passenger.
The what?
The Dark Passenger.
It never occurred to me to trademark my alter ego.
Schmidt's adoption unknowingly of Dexter's most private and defining concept destabilizes Dexter's sense of identity, ownership, and control over his own darkness. This appropriation of his inner truth by another man, particularly one so sloppy and chaotic, is like an intrusion into the sanctity of his mind. Dexter's irritation toward Schmidt's use of the name transcends mere ego. It represents a loss of ownership over his darkness. For years, Dexter has managed to keep his dual identity hidden from the public eye and safely compartmentalized. To see a careless killer become associated with the phrase Dark Passenger is to witness that private world being dragged into the open, distorted, and commercialized by sensationalist headlines. Schmidt's crimes and the resulting media frenzy reduced Dexter's inner philosophy to a cheap tabloid label.
And what about our local serial killer? This is a very big city, but there's still only room for one Dark Passenger.
You had no right to murder them, or to take my name.
This not only offends Dexter's sense of precision and pride in his craft, but also threatens his psychological equilibrium. If the world now sees the Dark Passenger as someone else, where does that leave Dexter's carefully constructed self-concept? Also, Ronald Schmidt represents everything Dexter despises in a killer. Red's murders are impulsive, emotionally driven, and vindictive, acts born of bitterness over his father's death and societal change. In contrast, Dexter's kills are ritualized and rationalized through his code. Schmidt's crude mimicry of Dexter's symbolic name transforms what Dexter sees as an intricate dance between justice and monstrosity into something vulgar and meaningless. Dexter's frustration grows not merely from hearing the name repeated on the news, but from the sense that someone unworthy is wearing his mask, a pretender sullying his legacy.
Help in setting up their IT. Ronald Schmidt?
Yes, Red. He's very thorough.
So now you suddenly want to be a your car driver?
Gotta make a living somehow.
You want to go after that serial killer.
He stole my name.
You think the Dark Passenger works there?
He's not the Dark Passenger. That's part of me. I refuse to call him that.
You gotta call him something.
The imposter.
This emotional response also reveals an irony in Dexter's evolution. Throughout this season, Dexter demonstrates a new capacity for empathy and restraint, such as saving a victim instead of prioritizing his kill and wanting to take care of his son. Yet his fixation on Schmidt's use of the Dark Passenger exposes how much of his identity still hinges on his darker side. Despite his efforts to change, Dexter's pride in his method and mythos remains intact. The fact that a stranger's misappropriation of a phrase can bother him more than the loss of innocent lives underscores how much Dexter's darkness still defines him. Which leads to the ending of Ronald Schmidt's story, in the same way you might think, him laying on a table covered in plastic wrap and staked by a knife. And while this might be the end of Ronald Schmidt, this is not the end of the Dark Passenger.
It's time to let my true self take the wheel.
Taking my life back. And the name you stole from me.
What name?
The Dark Passenger.
Who are you?
Dexter. And there's only room in this world for one Dark Passenger.
No!
Ronald Schmidt's story and role in this show doesn't merely provoke Dexter into another hunt. he forces Dexter into a moment of existential reflection. By hearing the world use his private language to describe another man's crimes, Dexter is shown that his dual life is no longer as secret or sacred as he imagined. For a brief time, the label dark passenger, once a source of clarity and control, becomes tainted, shared, public, and profane. What truly unsettles Dexter, then, is not the presence of another killer, but the realization that his most intimate darkness can be echoed, cheapened, and imitated by the world around him. And now the dark passenger will forever be linked to a serial killer in New York, a man that will go down as someone that has never been caught because Dexter took matters into his own hands.
There's this thing inside me. It drives me. For too long I tried to restrain it, but I can't do that anymore.
This means that the legend of the dark passenger will forever be tied to a man that is not Dexter Morgan. And while the rest of the world will never know who the dark passenger is, Dexter will, and that will annoy him. Because of the media and Dexter's direct actions, the dark passenger will forever be immortalized, similar to the likes of the Zodiac Killer and Jack the Ripper. People will be enthralled with the mystery and keep the dark passenger forever in the public, where it will be, to Dexter's frustration, tied to Ronald Schmidt. Schmidt stole a core part of Dexter. In this way, Dexter Resurrection cleverly uses Ronald Schmidt's character not only as a narrative antagonist, but as a mirror reflecting Dexter's fragile relationship with his own mythology. Schmidt's existence, and the media's careless naming, forces Dexter to confront a truth more disturbing than murder itself, that even the monsters we think are uniquely our own can be stolen, renamed, and reborn in someone else.
I have a friend who was nearly killed by the dark passenger. Lost part of his ear, though.
He saw the dark passenger.